Hi everyone and welcome. I'm Diane and my passion is painting and creating nature-inspired watercolours in my studio, which are easy for you to do too. I share all my paintings with you on YouTube, and on our website dianeantone.com you can find free downloadable sketches for all the videos to help you make the most of your painting journey. And if you'd like a little bit more, we also have channel memberships with loads of perks for you to enjoy. So welcome on board. Click subscribe and turn on notifications, and let's learn to paint watercolour. Hi everyone, Diane here. Welcome to my studio. Hope everyone's well and happy and ready for a creative moment or two. Today, been thinking about this for quite a while, and what we're going to do is we're going to draw and then paint a family of birds, so a baby bird and mummy and daddy. And first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sketch the design out, and then I will paint it and embellish it a little bit, and it's going to be an easy thing. And you can get the sketch to trace if you want from our website at dianeantone.com, no cost to you. And so I've got a piece of Bockingford here, Bockingford £140 watercolour paper, and just an ordinary Derwent pencil. And my idea was to have 3 birds and to have the mummy, the baby and the daddy flying in with some dinner in his mouth. So I woke up this morning with the idea, and you know how it is so difficult to paint, to draw the eye of a bird. And it occurred to me this morning that maybe it might be easier sometimes to start with the eye, to actually draw in the eye before you draw anything else. So that's what I've been doing this morning. And so I am going to suggest that if you want to doodle a bird or something like that, put the eye in first, then draw the body, then the beak, and then think about the tail and the wings, and then pop in the legs and the feet. Just any old how. Don't be too worried about how you're going to do this. And then mummy's eye is going to be up here. And let's just sort of, relax about this, because it's supposed to be a matter of having fun, isn't it? Not worrying about the fine details of what you're doing. So mummy's got longer legs than the baby, because, well, she would have, wouldn't she? And then, so daddy is over here and he's flying in and he's all eyes. He's looking to see where he's going to land. And then we're going to have a nice big body, and then the wings out to the sides like that. And then his beak, and in his beak he has a worm. Sorry if you're squeamish about worms. I certainly am. I don't like worms. And then his tail comes out there. And so that's that. That's our composition. And we're going to have some flowers growing down here, which you can do however you want, whatever comes to mind. And this is the kind of thing that you can do either fussy and finicky if you want to. If you're the kind of person that likes to put a lot of detail in, there's plenty of opportunity for that in a painting like this. Or you can do it very whimsical. And this one is going to be pretty loose and whimsical as well. So there we are. Now, as I say, I've done that on a piece of Bockingford, and we'll see how it goes. I have got a piece of Arches watercolour paper here too, but since this is such a sort of flight of fancy, I don't think we really need to do that. Colours. Pick some colours that you like and ones which will go together. I've got here some blues. This is ultramarine. This is cobalt. Then I've got pinks. You don't need both of those. Either of those will do. I've got opera and I've got permanent rose. And this is quinacridone violet and dioxazine mauve. So they're just purples. I've also got here a turquoise. That's another cobalt. You don't really need. No, I don't know what that is actually. manganese, don't want that. And this is sap green, perhaps for the leaves on the flowers. You could have a completely different approach. You could do it with golds and yellows and browns if you wanted to, or you could focus on greens or any colour. You could try to mix all sorts of different colours together, but that's actually harder. So I thought perhaps I would stick to something fairly, what's the word, easy to go, easy to mix. So let's move those out of the way, don't spoil clean pieces of paper. So we'll just get the main colour in. Now all we have to do is remember not to make the eyes wet, because we want to keep those nice and white. So we just paint round the eyes and make the whole body wet. And then decide whatever colour we want to use for Daddy, for the bird. And we might want to put in some cobalt. And let that spread. And then maybe when I did this before, I used some, what do you call it? Quinacridone gold, didn't I, on the other side of the bird. So I'm just going to pop some quinacridone there. I actually find it quite hard to paint without a yellow of some sort, shape or description. And quinacridone is actually my favourite because it's so clean. And even on Bockingford, it should blend quite well. So we won't touch that too much. We'll just let that do its thing. And then for the wings, I think I'm going to go with turquoise. Actually, I've just forgotten to wet the wings, so I'll just do that. Doesn't matter if you touch it and it bleeds a bit like that. It doesn't matter at all. So we'll just drop in some turquoise here for these wings. And you can adjust the shape of the outline of the wing as you go along if you want. It doesn't have to be exactly following the lines that you drew, because after all you drew them, so you can change them if you want. And then I'm going to just put some blobs on the back there for the tail feathers. And then afterwards I'm going to probably embellish that a little bit, so we'll see how that goes. Okay, now Mummy. And we will paint round that wing, paint her head, leaving the eyes. And what colour? Well, obviously she's got to be pink, so we'll go for permanent rose. And I'll put that here on her breast and let that spread. And then perhaps on her back we'll do quinacridone purple or dioxazine mauve. It's much for muchness, I think. I don't know if there's any difference, but so we'll do that. And then perhaps her tail could be blue or turquoise. What do you think? Maybe I'll mix a little bit of both. And then her wing. Now the crucial, excuse me for coughing, is, I don't know what that's all about, but it's all right, I'm not sick. The crucial thing is not to overwork this, so just leave it, because that's when you get the chance to have a cup of coffee or tea. We made some tea yesterday from something in the garden. We've been growing lemon balm or melissa, and because we do try to be, natural, we try. and failed. But anyway, and so Tamsin said, oh, let's try that. And so we made some Melissa tea, and it's actually really nice. I've noticed recently that the tea that I'm just wondering what colour to do this. Let's do his chest yellow, shall we? The tea that you buy, being English, we try to drink tea rather than coffee, but fail because it's usually so horrible. So I'm going to we've got yellow and blue up there, so shall we put yellow and pink? And when you open up the tea bags, it's just powder inside. It's just awful. So we tried to buy more expensive type from online somewhere, and it turned out to be not much better. So if you can grow it in the garden, why not? Okay, so we're going to have to let those dry. And then we will come in with some pen. I should be able to paint that worm though, and maybe their beaks. So we'll give them yellow beaks. There goes the French Air Force. Don't know if you can hear that. Oh, and I could put their legs in, couldn't I, already? So I've got, this is a Staedtler pigment liner, which for some reason just recently has started to bleed. I don't know why, when it touches water, so I'm going to be careful and not let it touch anything I've already painted. I don't know, I'm going to swap to Sigma liners. I've ordered some on Amazon. If you are interested in any of the things that I buy, or I use rather, go to my Amazon shop. Go to Amazon/Diane Antone. Oh, I'll put the link in the description below. And I've got there almost every single thing that I use in the studio is there. So if you're interested in any of the things that I paint with or on, then you will be able to find that there. So, okay, so there's their legs. I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to have to let it dry because some of the most interesting elements on your painting will happen when you're doing nothing to it. So while I'm waiting, I'm going to go away in a minute and turn you off and come back later. Meet you on the other side. That's what they say when on the crochet channels. I'll meet you on the other side, or I'll meet you at the end. Well, you might. Depends whether you end up in the same place, I suppose. I was watching a crochet channel last night from there's a boy called Jonah. It's called Jonah's Hands. You've probably seen it if you're a crochet person. Can hardly have missed it. If I saw it, everyone must have. He's got a channel now. He's got about 150,000 followers. He started doing this when he was like 8 or something, and he's a marvel. He's an amazing kid. You should, if you don't already know him, look him up, Jonah's Hands. He makes you think that there's hope for the world, to be honest. Watching him, it makes you think, yeah, you know what? I can leave the world in good hands if some of the hands, even only some of the hands, are like his. That's rather an appropriate name for his channel, Jonah's Hands. Leave the world in Jonah's hands. It will be okay. Because you do worry, don't you? That it's all going to go pear-shaped. Okay, I'm going to turn this off and come back when it's dry. So this is nice and dry now, and of course the paper has started to curl up. So I'm just going to use some pretty washi tape here, which coordinates perfectly with my painting. Just to stick it down to the board. I've got a piece of plywood underneath here, which I put on my table to try to pretend to protect, yes. the table, because of course the table isn't actually protected. Every now and again I repaint it. It used to be pine coloured. If you look at some of the early videos from about a year and a half ago, you'll see the same table, but it was pine coloured, and now it's white because I've painted it with chalk paint, and I paint it again every few weeks because it gets mucky. And this is my piece of plywood, which I honestly think it's a good idea to use. It's just thin plywood like that, and I've just painted one side of it. That's the other side. Again, with chalk paint, gives me a nice matte surface. It's very useful for using for the filming, but it's also great to stick your paper to when you're doing your paintings. So anyway, as I said, it's dry, and I've held it down with a bit of tape, and I am now going to do the next thing. And what is the next thing? I'm wondering whether to put in the eyes. I think I might put in the eyes so that we've got some sort of focal point on the birds. So nice big eyes, nice big circle, and we'll do a very big pupil there like that, and we will embellish that further later. And then Mummy has another big eye like that, and she's kind of looking down. And actually that should be a little bit bigger, I think. And then Daddy's coming in, and he's got two big eyes like that, and he's looking down as well. If you want to change the details of the eyeballs, if you feel it's wrong, you can always cover it up with some bleed-proof white. This P.H. Martin's stuff is pretty good at covering up any mistakes. I'm going to take I've got to paint this worm. I'm going to take a number 3 brush here, and I'm going to paint the worm pinkish. I just feel it will make it less obnoxious if he's pink. I don't like worms. When I was a biology teacher, I used to have to teach children about worms and dissecting them, and that was a trauma, total trauma. Right. Next thing is to use the pen to do the outlines and so on and so forth. These feathers on the back here, they need some veins, so that is to say V-A-N-E-S, not V-E-I-N-S. And those are the feathers for the back of the bird. And then we're just going to go round loosely, very loosely, sometimes going inside the line and sometimes going outside the line, because that's kind of the way I quite like to do it. But if you are the kind of person who wants to be precise and do it, you know, some people are a bit more pernickety. It's not a bad word, pernickety. I think it's quite a nice word. It makes me think of Laura Ingalls Wilder, sort of word that they would use, isn't it? Or the Waltons, sort of nice old-fashioned word, which I think we use in England as well. I think you use it in America, don't you? Pernickety. Snickety. I used to read, I used to love the Bobbsey twins. Anyone here used to be a great fan of the Bobbsey twins? I was, oh my goodness, I don't know. I think I was born in the wrong country. I used to love those books. And the Hardy Boys and all of that. I used to read all of those things. I love the Bobbsey twins, though. I think I might see if I can find a book and read another one. Read one again. In England, the English, the ones I used to love to read as a child was Jennings and Derbyshire, all about the little boys at boarding school. I wanted to go to boarding school. My parents wouldn't send me away. Horrible. They wouldn't. Okay, so now we've outlined all the birds, and I think probably if that's dry, we should rub out the pencil marks. Try to rub them off of the wings and everything too, a little bit. Doesn't matter too much. Just the eyes, really. Okay. I use, this is a shaving brush that Sylvia sent me from Germany, brand new, obviously, and vintage. It's very useful for brushing off the bits from the birds. So now, oh, hang on a second. I don't want that line there. Now, what am I going to do? I thought I would add a little bit of gold. I thought I might add a little bit of gold around the eyes. And on the beaks. And this is the kind of thing that you can just, you know, really go silly with, because we can put feathers on the wings. I quite like to do them like that. And you can draw details on the tail feathers, like this. And because, you know, this is baby bird, she's going to take after her mum. So she's got the same kind of arrangement on her wings. And then she could have markings down her chest. And let's see, oh yes, her tail feathers need there. This is a Sigma, I think, hybrid gel. That's okay, not bad, not a bad thing. And then maybe we'll just do some what do you call those? Spirals on their backs. And Daddy's over here waiting patiently for his turn. So we'll put some gold on his wings. I think this would be a nice one to do with grandchildren or children too, because it's really simple and quite pretty. Don't leave out the worm. And then we'll put some spirals on his back too. If you don't have a gold pen, you could do it with perhaps with a coloured pencil. That would also look good. And or you could do it with a brush, but it would take a long time. Or you could do some other kind of embellishment. Like I said, you can adjust the expression on their faces with the way the pupils in the eyes are, and it's amazing actually how a small change will make a huge difference. I'm not quite sure about this baby bird's eyes, so I'm going to just come in with a bit of white and show you what I meant about changing it. I want her to look up a little bit more, so just try covering that over a bit. Sometimes you have to come in twice with it, so we'll see how that goes when it's dry. And now the flowers, and let's have some little pretty pink flowers. I was going to say some of the, if you've got any of those felt tip brush pens, you know, the brush, like a water brush, like this, which you could have used to do this painting with. You could use one of those to do the embellishments with if you haven't got a Sigma or whatever. So little pink flowers with green leaves. I'm just using a number 3 small round here. All the equipment that I use is listed in the description below. And I know there was something I was supposed to talk about today, but I've forgotten what it was. I was going to mention that we've just started Patreon, which is now going to be available for people. I don't think that we're not stopping anything from here. This is not going to change. But if you want a little bit more, and we're not changing the membership for YouTube. The YouTube membership remains exactly. In fact, actually, we've added some new perks to the YouTube membership. So there is that. And but no, we're also going to do Patreon. Everyone does Patreon. You've got to have Patreon. I don't want to be left out. I've got to go to the party. And maybe we'll just put a tiny little bit of green along here for them to stand on. And then, of course, for the sky, we have the requisite blue dots. And there we are. 3 little birdies. Daddy coming home with dinner, Mummy and baby bird. And I hope you enjoyed that. And if you did, please give us a like and subscribe. We're over 40,000 subscribers now, which is a miracle. And there we are. So I'll let you go and I'll see you again soon. Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.